welcome everybody. We want to welcome you and all of the distinguished guests who are joining us this evening. That includes project honorees, the UVU faculty and staff. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome all of you, and of course to represent the Utah Women's Walk Advisory Board and the Women's Success Center on the campus here of Utah Valley University, and welcoming you this inaugural gala celebrating the Utah Women's Walk. By way of introduction, my name is Brooke Walker from KSL Television and Studio 5. I am just so honored as I look over this glistening audience to be here with you this evening. I have to admit, I shouldn't make an excuse up front, but I'm a little rusty. This is one of the first gigs I've done since coming off maternity leave, so my husband gave me some parting words of advice, which included, just don't baby talk and you'll be fine. So if I start to slip into the higher registry, Nathan Osmond's going to throw a roll at me, all right? And we'll keep it there. But I am thrilled to join you for what promises to be an inspiring evening as we celebrate together the accomplishments of some amazing women who have contributed to our state here in Utah for the past 160 years. You are going to hear a lot of interesting stories tonight. You're going to meet a lot of amazing women, and it's my pleasure again to introduce you to these women this evening. So I believe perhaps the most impressive compliment, though, that could be paid about the women that we are honoring tonight is all of you who are in our presence to be here and honor them. That is the ultimate compliment I know they'll receive, so thank you again for joining us. As many of you know, the Utah Women's Walk is a legacy project. It's the only one of its kind in the state, and the project really has one purpose. It's dedicated to telling the stories of how competent, capable, and at times very driven Utah women have shaped, molded, and influenced the political, scientific, academic, cultural, and artistic landscapes here in our state since that first wagon train rolled into the Salt Lake Valley back in 1847. So these really are some of the greatest stories that have never been told. We're uncovering some new inspiration tonight for all of us to learn and glean from. This project gives a voice to the dead and the living by telling these life stories, and it's a living and breathing memorial that will continue to expand beyond the nearly 100 biographies already collected and already archived under the direction of Catherine McIntyre at the UVU Library. So it's a very unique public and private collaboration between the Women's Success Center under the direction of Dr. Annie Wairapo, the American Studies program that provides the academic component using student researchers, and the beautiful 55 acres at Thanksgiving Point there in the gardens that will host these beautiful statues, and also listening devices where patrons and those who visit the garden will be able to learn more about the lives of these amazing women who continue still to influence and leave their legacy for us to learn from today. But more on all of that later as we proceed in the program. First now, I just want to say thank you again for joining us, for your generosity of your time and your support, and especially to all of the honorees who are with us tonight for your exemplary lives that allow us to celebrate you, celebrate women, and really draw a spotlight upon these inspiring stories of dedication, devotion, and perseverance. So before we officially begin the evening, we'd like to acknowledge the support of the Utah Women's Walk Advisory Board, and also acknowledge the support of the Women's Success Advisory Board. Will everyone on that board please stand and be recognized right off the top? Let's give these ladies a round of applause. We also, before we get too into the evening, want to stop and thank our key sponsors who generously supported this gala and made this evening possible. Specifically the Women's Success Center here at UVU, Central Bank, the Bank of American Fork, and the Savage family. Could we have those sponsors please stand and be recognized at this time? Thank you so much to our sponsors. They really are dedicated. They have breathed life into a simple idea that has morphed into something amazing that we know will influence future generations. So thank you so much. Peggy Payson, a Utah Women's Walk honoree and coordinator for the Women's Success Center, has been invited to offer an invocation on these proceedings tonight and also a blessing on the food. So Peggy, we'll welcome you to the stage.
First, let me say that I wear these shoes by permission of Jeanette Hales Beckham and Barbara Barrington Jones. She seconded the notion because I don't want to break my foot, so I wear kind of clunky shoes. We're very thankful for this welcoming, inclusive university, and to make certain that I recognize the diversity of the religion in my prayer, I jotted down some notes. I do hope the Lord has a sense of humor because I make a lot of jokes. As each of us gives thanks, better put my glasses on. As each of us gives thanks according to our own personal persuasions, I want my prayer to note thoughts that recognize our unity of purpose. If you'd like, you may bow your heads. Our Father in heaven, our loving, holy Creator, we gather this evening seeking inspiration and your blessings. As we partake of this meal with reverent and grateful hearts, we pray that it will sustain our souls as well as our bodies. Please know that we care deeply about serving others as we pray that our undertakings and our goals are pleasing to you, Father. We ask your guidance as we look to honor your daughters and the sanctity of women's unique gifts. Let us be reminded that our talents and abilities are truly God-given, and how we choose to make use of them becomes our gifts to you, Father. Let us be mindful that where there is charity, love, and wisdom, there is neither fear nor ignorance. We offer our profound gratitude for the miracles we are so blessed to participate in, the good fortune that we enjoy, and for the bounty of nature and our daily blessings. Let us be ever mindful of the sacrifices made by our military and police to ensure our freedoms in this great nation. We offer our profound gratitude for those miracles. May we be uplifted and enlightened by this evening's messages and remain true to our chosen pathways with humility and love. Please remain in our hearts, guide us in our daily lives, and help us to let our light shine before others. Thank you, our Creator, for this beautiful celebration of the strength, love, faith, and service of inspiring women that is emblematic of all who strive to dedicate their lives to a higher purpose and remain true to their heart's journey. May it draw us ever nearer to you in service and seeking knowledge and wisdom. As your humble servants, we thank you for those who toiled to bring us together and those whose efforts produced this wonderful event and a lovely meal. We ask you in faith, in the name of our Lord. Amen.
Well, I want to briefly, just as if you haven't noticed already, draw your attention to the screen behind me. These are showing, the screens have been showing throughout the evening images of women who have been honored as part of the Utah Women's Walk. So some of these women are in the audience tonight. You'll have an opportunity to meet them a little bit later on as they're officially recognized and presented that beautiful medallion, that sculpture. That's their token of being officially recognized as part of the Utah Women's Walk. Their images, along with a short description of their unique story, they're going to be appearing throughout dinner. So if the conversation at your table lags, you can just shoot an eyeball up on the stage and be entertained there. Not that it will. I know there's many great conversations to be had tonight. See how many you know and how many you recognize, how many faces up there that you know and recognize, because we are technically at school tonight, so there could be a quiz. I'm not sure. There could be a quiz at the end. I'm going to keep you on your toes. I'm going to insist you start eating your salad as the catering staff hands that out. One thing I've learned from doing a midday lifestyle show is the women in the audience I know are great at multitasking. I hear from viewers all the time that they watch my show while they've got one hand on the stove stirring macaroni and cheese. We're eating a little better tonight than macaroni and cheese. So enjoy those salads, enjoy that food while we get our program underway this evening. The only thing I will insist, though, is we're going to ask you to turn off your cell phones, please, if you will take a moment and just double glance at your phone. If there's a football score or a sports score that you're really anxious, you've got the knee jitters needing to know, slip me a note. I can call my friends Rod Zundel and Jeremiah Jensen. They'll be really impressed that I'm actually interested in something sports related. So I'm happy to check in with the KSL Sports Desk if you really need to know a sports score tonight. Before we watch a short video that will kind of tell you a little bit more about the Utah Women's Walk, I want to introduce you to two key people who really represent the heart and the engine behind this project, this remarkable project. Michelle Welch is the first heartbeat we get to meet tonight and get to know. And I have only known her a short time, but I'm already so impressed with her spark and with her spirit. She is, in reality, the visionary whose life at times seems to be consumed with this project. This really is a passion of hers and has become a life work. It's her voice that has become the voice of these women through this project, and it's her life that is dedicated to sharing their lives with us. Would you please join me in welcoming to the stage the founding director of the Utah Women's Walk, Michelle Welch.
Thank you, Brooke. It is such an honor and privilege to have you with us here tonight. I should probably tell you that my daughter-in-law, Shara, is one of your biggest fans. She never misses Studio 5, and even if we could have gotten Taylor Swift to come, she would have been disappointed. And for the record, so would have I. To be here at this gathering with so many of the Utah Women Walk honorees is such a privilege. I've been acquainted with many over the years and through the project, and to have you all gathered in one spot is just like a dream come true. As I look around the room and I see so many people who have contributed so much to this project, my heart fills with enormous gratitude. It has been a journey of a lifetime. Seems like a lifetime. That has brought me into contact with some of the most extraordinary women I've ever met, and many have become dear, dear friends. The student researchers and volunteers who have embraced this project and spent countless hours writing and editing and doing tedious transcription work are owed a tremendous debt of gratitude. Their work will ensure that the stories of courage and hope and determination against at times impossible odds will outlive all of us here tonight.
Okay, so I ask questions for a living. Can I be afforded one question?
Sure.
Without turning this into like a beauty pageant or anything. There will be no background music. But I'm just curious to know, Michelle, if I understand right, 5 married children that you have, right? Mm-hmm. 11 grandchildren, 1 on the way. You've been working at this project for what, 22 years?
A long time.
What keeps you going, girlfriend?
Well, if you ask my husband, he would say a case of Dr. Pepper, and that's probably partly true. But in retrospect, I think it was my own experience interviewing women, and the first 2 interviews particularly. It felt like I was starting to drill for oil, and I wasn't completely sure what I would find myself. And then, quite unexpectedly, came this gusher out of the ground filled with the sweetest and tender, life-altering emotions, more than anything I could have imagined. My first interview was with a dear friend from American Fork who is here tonight, Roseanne Gunther. And if there is one face that represents how one person can change the world through a global humanitarian effort, it would be Roseanne Gunther. And if there is a Mother Teresa of Utah, it would be her. My second interview was with a woman I had admired, if not idolized, much like Shara feels about you. Her name is Ardith Kapp, and she was the LDS General Young Women President in the mid-'80s, and her teaching and example changed my life. Sitting in her home for the first interview was more frightening than even standing here before you tonight. But her kindness, her genuineness, and her interest in the project, it completely swept away all of my fear. From that first interview has grown one of the deepest friendships I have ever enjoyed in my life. But both of those experiences provided the much-needed emotional fuel to keep going, even at times with just small baby steps. And so I'd like you tonight to recognize Roseanne Gunther, would you please stand, and Sister Ardith Kapp, would you please stand, and would you acknowledge them?
Michelle, thank you so much. Don't get too comfortable, okay? You'll be back up here in just a few minutes. You can tell her passion, right? You can just feel her heart leaking through her every word, and I love that. I love that. As a storyteller myself, I also respect a good story and a good legacy, and so Thanks to Michelle for bringing those legacies to life for us. Any project of this magnitude that is also deeply rooted in academic research and engaged student learning needs champions inside that educational circle, champions inside the university who can mobilize the skills and resources of talented students to first mine those stories of both the past and the present, conduct very thoughtful interviews, and second, to have those interviews transcribed, which if you've never transcribed an interview, it is a lot of tedious work. Those students put in that work. They also edited these projects, writing short, captivating biographies that make the lives of Utah women quite literally come to life, jump off the page, if you will. So the task has been made possible by a number of people, and we want to acknowledge those people today. People like Dr. David Yells, Dean of College of Humanities and Social Sciences here at UVU, Dr. Phil Gordon, American Studies Program Coordinator, and Dr. Michelle Taylor, UVU Vice President of Student Affairs. But there is one woman in particular, a woman I know and love, who has given the Utah Women's Walk a home, if you will. So if you'll please join me in welcoming to the stage Dr. Annie Wairapo. She's the Director of the Women's Success Center here at UVW. Let's give it up for her. The last time I saw Annie, we were literally under the lights and camera of a television studio, so what is it about you and me meeting in pressureful situations, right?
Like
right?
Let's pretend that they're not here. Okay?
Just you and
I'm a
me
little
talking?
nervous. Yes.
Just you and me? All right. Tell us as a leader here at UVU, why is this project so important to you?
I think the shortest answer is that young women today, perhaps more than any other time in history, need role models. They need mentoring and coaching and those types of experiences that can take place with the Utah Women's Walk. The students also need experiences that will help them develop leadership skills. Sonia Sotomayor, the first Hispanic Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, has said, when a young person, even a gifted one, grows up without proximate living examples of what she may aspire to become, whether lawyer, scientist, artist, or leader in any realm, her goal remains abstract. Such models as appear in books or on the news, however inspiring or revered, are ultimately too remote to be real, let alone influential. But a role model in the flesh provides more than inspiration. His or her very existence is confirmation of possibilities one may have every reason to doubt, saying, yes, someone like me can do this. The Utah Women's Walk experience provides students a role model in the flesh.
So let me ask you this. There's the inspirational side, which you described so well, the motivation that comes from sharing these stories. But I know you also have your eye on some numbers and some data. And graduation rates, particularly among women, are top of mind for you. So how do you think this project contributes to helping those numbers go the right direction?
Oh, it's such a critical issue. In Utah, and this is not just a UVU concern, we have some success of enrollment for female students as freshmen. However, somewhere along the line, we lose too many on the road to graduation. We have found that students are involved in enriching activities that engage them in the learning process, particularly with inspiring role models. These students are more likely to complete their education and to actually graduate.
Awesome, Annie. Thank you so much. Thanks for your support. And next time, let's meet over lunch or something,
Yeah,
right?
let's do.
When there's not hundreds of eyes looking on us. Give it up for Annie Wairapo, everybody. So you've already heard just a little bit about the heart of this project and what's behind it and what Michelle and others hope will be accomplished through this project. But we want to take a minute to really dive into what this project is so you can experience for yourself the power behind these female legacies and these stories. So let's turn our attention to the screens and we'll watch this short little video clip of the story of the Utah Women's Walk.
Tell me a fact and I will learn. Tell me a truth and I will believe. But tell me a story and it will live in my heart forever. The Utah Women's Walk is a project dedicated to telling the stories of remarkable women. It is a rare combination of art and education that engages both the heart and mind. These are the type of stories that once you hear them, they will live in your heart forever. There is nothing particularly interesting about another's life story, unless we can say as we read it, "Why, this is what I have been through." Perhaps, after all, there is a way to work things out. The women honored in the Utah Women's Walk are not remarkable because they are so different than us, but because they are just like us. The Utah Women's Walk is a living, breathing memorial designed to change our view of the world and to have our own lives implicated in the process. And maybe, just maybe, to recognize that in our own lives, amid our own challenges, that there is a way to work things out. The genesis of the Utah Women's Walk is found in this Glenna Goodacre statue on the Mall in Washington, D.C. that was dedicated in November of 1993. It is a heroic-size bronze depicting 3 Vietnam-era women caring for a wounded soldier. The statue is placed just yards from the wall where the names of over 58,000 soldiers who died during Vietnam are etched into the polished black granite. Diane Carlson Evans, a former nurse who served in Vietnam and creator of the Vietnam Women's Memorial Project, invited Tim and Michelle Welsh to the dedicatory ceremony. During the service, Evans spoke of the approximately 11,000 American military women who were stationed in Vietnam during the war, most of them as volunteers. Evans emphasized the need to recognize not only the men who served in Vietnam, but the women who nursed their wounds. It was in that moment that an idea was born. Years later, Michelle invited her niece, Hillary, to walk through the newly completed gardens at Thanksgiving Point in Lehi, Utah. Hillary's mother, Rebecca Devitt Welsh, had died from cancer when Hillary was only 8 years old. As they walked through the beautiful landscape, Michelle told Hillary stories about her mother. The ambience of the garden provided an unexpected environment to heal the heart of a young girl still grieving from the loss of a mother she was afraid she would forget. With the memory of the Vietnam Women's Memorial and the experience in the Thanksgiving Point Garden, Michelle learned in the months following of other memorials dedicated to honoring women, such as the Boston's Women Heritage Trail, commemorating the contributions of women to their state's history, and Portland State University's Walk of the Heroines. From these collective experiences, the idea of the Utah Women's Walk started to take shape. The official launch of the Utah Women's Walk came in the form of a master's program in American Studies at Utah State University. There, Michelle began with interviewing and writing short biographies of 10 Utah women who reflected a wide variety of accomplishments and a broad scope of interests and talents, and also who represented various geographic areas of the state. 22 years, tens of thousands of dollars, and 100 fully completed and archived biographies later, the Utah Women's Walk is making final preparation to be officially introduced to the world. From its beginning in 1993, the Utah Women's Walk has morphed into a unique public-private collaboration between Utah Valley University and the breathtaking 55 acres of Thanksgiving Point Gardens. The academic component at UVU is deeply rooted in engaged learning and includes both the Women's Success Center and students from various programs, including American Studies, Folklore, English, and Political Science. Students are given the opportunity to select a woman they admire and who is in their respective field of study to research. The power to change lives comes from not only having these students read their stories, but more importantly, to research and write their stories. This experience of implicating our lives in the stories of others is called reflective ethnography. It is what Eleanor Roosevelt was speaking of and what Hillary experienced. When students and patrons become immersed in the stories, they begin to see striking similarities with their own lives. It is in that moment where new ideas are formed, where a resolve to face challenges is forged, and when a determination to make their own life meaningful emerges. Listen as UVU President Matthew Holland explains how the engaged learning component of the Utah Women's Walk enhances the overall academic experience for students.
We are so pleased as a university to be the academic support for the research being done with the Utah Women's Walk. It's currently a project that's housed in association with our American Studies program and the College of Humanities and Social Sciences. And I have to say, our English students are having an outstanding experience, engaged learning experience, which goes to the heart of our pedagogy here at UVU as they research, write about, and pay tribute to women that they most admire.
The Utah Women's Walk is more than stunning art in a beautiful garden. It is also a catalyst to improve graduation rates among female students at UVU, as explained by Dr. Ann Wyrapo, Director of the Women's Success Center.
The mission of the Women's Success Center is to help women enter and graduate from Utah Valley University, to improve the lives of them and their families, to help them become more financially stable, and to really improve the fabric of society. The Utah Women's Walk is another great program that helps do those things. It's full of stories of women living and breathing today or from the past that have really helped our state to be successful, and students use these stories to see that they can do things too. It's been wonderful to work with the director, Michelle Welch, and also with Belinda Hahn, the director of the Center for the Advancement of Leadership.
Providing transcriptions and recordings of notable Utah women is a great resource for not only the students at Utah Valley University, but for the general public. I love reading the stories of the women on the Utah Women's Walk page. The Utah Women's Walk provides role models, inspiration, and motivation for our students in the Center for the Advancement of Leadership.
The official opening of the Utah Women's Walk will result in a stunning display in the Rose Garden at Thanksgiving Point Gardens, where patrons can read a sampling of over 100 short biographies, or listen to a brief narration of a person of their choosing on a smartphone while strolling past sculptures of these extraordinary women. The stories of the women honored in the Utah Women's Walk are stories that are still changing lives today. Women like author and historian Juanita Brooks. After obtaining her master's degree from Columbia University, Brooks became an instructor of English and dean of women at Dixie College. In 1933, she retired to raise her large family and to edit various pioneer documents and diaries. Besides her numerous historical articles, biographies, and groundbreaking work on the Mountain Meadows Massacre, she found time to deliver daily meals to an invalid neighbor. Or someone in public service like Christine Durham, who graduated from Duke Law School, and throughout most of her distinguished legal career, she became an outspoken advocate of female role models in public life. In 2002, she ascended to the highest legal position in the state when she was named Chief Justice of the Utah Supreme Court. Or perhaps a woman like Sarah Ann Daft, who was a pioneer immigrant from England in 1856, and for 20 years following her husband's death, she became a leading entrepreneur, investor, and real estate developer. The nonprofit Sarah Daft Home, which opened in 1912, has been in continuous operation for over 100 years. Too often, when we hear stories of women like Juanita Brooks, Christine Durham, Sarah Ann Daft, or 100 others just like them, we are reading the headlines. The Utah Women's Walk allows you to experience the heart lines, the tears, the disappointment, the regret, the angst, and also the refusal to stop trying when there were plenty of reasons to surrender. In a very real way, the Utah Women's Walk is not just about changing attitudes and opinions about Utah women. It is about changing lives by telling and retelling their stories, stories that will live in our hearts forever.
Isn't that fantastic? Isn't that an inspiring story? I break out into a grin every time I see the rendering of that future beautiful garden, to think people will hear these stories and read these stories, and that generations will be inspired by the women who have walked that path previously. Just puts a smile on my heart. All right, dinner is being served, right? We can smell it probably before we could see it. So feed those tummies, enjoy your dinner. While you do, we get to listen to some awesome music from a very accomplished musician. And I know just how talented he is, because right before I came up, he leaned over and said, "Don't say too much about me." And the humble guys are always the good guys and the talented guys. So this is Mike Kestler. He is an accomplished musician. He is a senior at California Baptist University. He's studying music composition. He has won a long list of awards, and he flew out tonight to be here specifically for this event. So he gets the award for the guest that traveled the farthest, and we're so excited to have him with us tonight. So we'll enjoy his music, enjoy your dinner. And as a woman who always has her eye on desserts, I'm going to give you a little teaser. First, before I do that, we want to thank the UVU catering service. They did a lovely job tonight. Can we give them a round of applause? Dessert this evening, which I know some of you are just enjoying the main course, so I'm not rushing it, but I'm just planting the seed that the dessert is going to be coming, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be provided by Mary Crafts Homer. She's a Utah Women's Walk honoree, and of course the CEO of Culinary Crafts, a 10-time recipient too of Best of State Caterer, so something even more to look forward to in just a few minutes. We're going to enter the performance portion of tonight's event, tonight's program, and our first performance of the evening will be a dramatic presentation performed by Lita Little Giddins. Let me tell you a little bit about Lita. She holds degrees in fine arts and sociocultural anthropology, and she did her graduate work in social work. She's going to perform for us tonight a life sketch of Utah Women's Walk honoree Alberta Henry, who was the president of the Utah chapter of the NAACP and a devoted woman who spent a lot of her life working to find solutions for the at-risk youth in the Salt Lake Valley. So please pause while you're eating, put your hands together to welcome Lita Little Giddins.
My mother used to sing a special song when I was growing up that always made me feel peaceful and thankful every time I heard it. That song went like this. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. Now I'm ready. You are a good-looking group of people, and I am happy to be with you tonight. My name is Alberta Mayhill Gooch Henry, a name about as long as I am tall, but a name carries with it a person's history. So my purpose here tonight is to share with you a part of my history with the hope that some of my story can add to your own. My parents were Julia and James Hill. They were sharecroppers near Shreveport, Louisiana, where I was born the 14th of October, 1920, one of 4 children. We moved to Topeka, Kansas when I was 3 years old, after the landowners tried to cheat my parents out of their hard-earned money. Now, because my mother had the tendency to speak her mind, Topeka was viewed as a place where the chances of a black woman both speaking out and staying alive were greatly increased. My brother said that I was much like my mother, even as a child, aggressive, authoritative, and usually right. So I suppose Kansas was a wise move for mother's sake and for mine. I attended a segregated elementary school, moved on to middle school, and started working shortly after I graduated from high school. I was working in a theater there in Topeka when I met my first husband, Gooch. We married in 1941, and I became Alberta Mayhill Gooch. Mother didn't care much for him, though. She said, "You are old enough, so I'm not going to tell you no. But you are playing with God here. If you make your bed hard, you have to lie in it." Like my brother said, Mother was right, as usual. A few years into the marriage, my health was failing. But not only was my health failing, my marriage was failing as well. It was in 1948 when my mother found me collapsed on the floor. My appendix had burst, and it nearly ended my life as I knew it up to that point. But while I was so sick, almost unable to move, I had an experience I will never forget. I saw a white light come into the room and sit at the end of my bed. And then I heard a voice, and it said, "You will not die. I have a work for you to do." Well, it took several months before I realized what that work was, and I was too weak to really even think about it. And because it was taking so long for me to get my strength back, the doctors decided that I needed to relocate to a place where I could rest and recover more fully. That's where Salt Lake City came into the picture. Now, I tried. Believe me, I tried. But I could not think of any other place to go. So, in August of 1949, I arrived. And Salt Lake wasn't bad. In fact, it was a nice place to visit. At least that's what I kept telling myself. It was just so different. And so many things kept reminding me that I wasn't in Kansas anymore. And no matter how many times I wished that I could click my heels and go home, I couldn't bring myself to leave, and I didn't know why. Then one day, I was standing at the sink, washing dishes, looking out the window to the east at the beautiful mountains, wondering what mission the Lord had for me when He promised that I wouldn't die. Then suddenly, as I was looking at those mountains, I realized what it was. And with great disbelief, I said, "Oh, no, Lord, not Utah." But Utah it was, and it is where I stayed the rest of my days. Now, realizing that I had a mission in Utah was one thing, but discovering what that mission was exactly was a different story altogether. Now, finding a job and a place to live was difficult because most businesses wouldn't sell the colors, let alone hire them. I heard so many oppressive no's and encountered even more judgmental looks. But I was blessed because I had the Baptist church community at the center of my life, and singing old Negro spirituals helped to carry me along. I would often sing, I shall not be moved. I shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water. I will not be moved. The only position open to colored women was in domestic service. Now, some people thought domestic work was demeaning, but my mother always said, anything that's honest is not beneath you. You do the best job you can as long as it's honest. So for a good while, I worked in domestic service and did the best job I could. I managed to keep myself busy, but I had my secular outlets as well. A few of us would get together and we played checkers and dominoes, and I knew my way around the deck when it came to card games. But one night, while I was enjoying a much-needed outlet of game playing, I met a man who I recognized the Lord had picked out especially for me. But I said, Lord, I'm not having it. His name was Harold Lloyd Henry. But no matter what I did, that man would not stop coming around. And the more he came around, the more I grew to like his beautiful green eyes, and I realized he was a lovely person. On the 17th of November, 1950, I became Alberta Mayhew Gooch Henry. We were married for 4 to 6 years until Harold died in 1996. But sometimes, when I close my eyes, I can still see Harold's lovely face and his beautiful green eyes. Harold's 2 sons and the 2 children we adopted caused me to get involved with the schools, serving on several boards and committees. Now, being involved with the schools meant that I got the opportunity to see and learn a great deal. I gained insights into the lives of the minorities in the area, and frankly, I was troubled. One of the problems that troubled me the most was the number of young black students that were dropping out of school. Few, if any, went to college, and most of them never graduated. Now I ask you, without a proper education, what future opportunities did those young black students have? But compared to their white counterparts, not enough. My heart just ached, and I said, Lord, I'm not having it. So I went to work. I brought together some people with money from one place and put them together with some people with money from another. And before long, a scholarship program was created to help those young black students get their education. And in 1965, the Alberta Henry Education Foundation was officially organized. And I am proud of that. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, and marching up to freedom land. Yes, Lord. I was also involved with the Head Start program and with the Education Task Force, where I was chairperson for a time. Now that kept me busy. You see, I learned that sometimes you need to educate with a little bit of force. One day, I got a phone call from the parents of some junior high school students who felt that a principal had just suspended their children unfairly. Well, I told them that I would be right over. While I was preparing to go to battle with that principal, I got another phone call. Hello. It was the regents of the University of Utah asking if I would accept an honorary doctorate degree. Well, I told him, well, I'm very busy at the moment preparing to go burn down a particular junior high school. The man laughed and he said, that's fine. Just give us your approval to give you an honorary doctorate degree. Then you can go burn the school down. I said, all right, I will. Thank you. Goodbye. I had no idea what it meant to accept an honorary doctorate degree. But after it was explained to me, I was pleased. So I'm happy to report that I became an honorary doctorate of humane letters in June of 1971, and that junior high school is still standing. 9 years later, I graduated with my bachelor's degree in education as a spry old woman of 60. You see, I wanted to show the students that I knew their problems, but if I could do it, so could you. And I wanted to teach them that to want to accomplish something worthwhile, to really want to do something of significance with your life is one of the most important things there is. Yes, I was the president of the NAACP for 12 years. And yes, I was the first black elected to the Utah Women's Hall of Fame. I fought campaigns for civil rights, winning some, losing others, although I strongly believe that everyone, black and white alike, ought to be dedicated. And I am proud that the Alberta Henry Education Foundation continues to assist minorities and disadvantaged youth obtain an education. But all the while, I thought of myself as a little black woman was just trying to help people out and do what the Lord wanted me to do. But I strongly believe that part of my destiny was to set up a permanent residence in Salt Lake City, to do what I could to guarantee the equality of educational opportunities for all people, because fairness works every kind of way. And I thank the good Lord that He blessed this body to sustain me through it all. Then cancer got a hold of me in the year 2003. On May 11th, 2005, it freed me, and I was able to go home to rest with my Lord and to see my husband Harold again. Whew. What a happy day that was. Well, I guess that's about enough of the story of Alberta Mayhill Gooch Henry, because I'm gone and you all are here now. But before I go, I want you to know that looking out at you all, at your beautiful faces, and understanding the good that you are doing and that you are being prepared to do, and believing in the history that you are making, oh, well, it does my heart such good and gives me cause to rejoice. So in honor of you, I end the way I began. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches. I know He watches. I know He watches me. Thank you. God bless you.
Wow, that was a feel-good chill moment. Let's give her another round of applause. Lita, way to go. My goodness, the acting, the memorization, the singing, that is one talented woman. In fact, I'll take this opportunity to direct your attention just to the center of the table. There are 2 cards in the center of your table. One is a donation card if you're interested in donating to this wonderful cause. The other is a card where you can nominate a woman who has inspired you, inspired your life to be part of the Utah Women's Walk. So I'm guessing after that performance, the tables will have to have a round of rock, paper, scissors to see who writes Lita's name on that little card. Way to go. That was fantastic. One more round of applause for her. That was great. So for this next part of the program, I'm going to ask Michelle, if she doesn't mind, to come back up here. While she's coming up, I'll explain the background she's going to provide us. I was reading a little bit about this program in preparation for tonight, and I noticed that the UVU students here are engaged in something called, where's Michelle? Come on over here, pretty girl. Are engaged in something called reciprocal ethnography. And I have been in journalism for the last 10 years, and so I'm a little embarrassed to admit I'd never heard of this. So I'd like Michelle to take a minute and tell us a little bit about that program. And the interesting thing about this program is the students who participate in it, in this particular field of study, report that their lives have really been transformed through the process. So tell us a little bit about what the program is and why these students' lives have been so dramatically affected by it, if you will.
Sure. Thank you, Brooke, and thank you, Lita. That was wonderful. One of the most satisfying aspects of the Utah Women's Walk is watching students have life-changing experiences. And a critical component of the project comes from a postmodern movement in folklore and anthropology referred to as reciprocal ethnography. And the theory states that both the folklorist and those that he or she interviews are implicated in the process of researching and interviewing and writing. They become active participants in the creation of a life story. This process is a significant way to promote engaged learning. Since 2010, students who have taken the Utah Women's History and Biography course, they were encouraged to choose a Utah woman that they admired, either from their field of study, from their major. Some of the students even chose their grandmothers to interview. Others chose women that they admired in their field of study. The students wrote nomination letters, wrote questions specific to the situation, set up and conducted interviews, and then wrote short biographies about the women that they had interviewed. One student, Haley Roper, I remember, interviewed Presbyterian philanthropist Pamela Atkinson, who many of you know. After she finished the interview, she wrote, "As soon as I finished interviewing Pamela, I just wanted to immediately go volunteer somewhere." The process of creating primary research for undergraduate students in this significant format has proven to be deeply satisfying and life-changing for many. Listen now to some other reflections of UVU student researchers.
Having the opportunity to interact and interview Janetta Williams impacted me because I was able to take the knowledge and things that she had done in her life and think about ways that I could take those and use them in my own life. One of the things that I really liked was there was things that she was doing in her own life that I wanted to do in my life. And that was one thing that I really loved about having the opportunity to interview her. Because of things that she's achieved, things that she's working on, that was an inspiration to me.
So I'm back in school 2 years in, and I've got 2 years to still go. I'm in communications with a major in marriage and family. And I'm a mom of 3 children. My life is really crazy and busy. And I have just been honored to be able to take the class from Michelle Welsh with the Utah Women's Walk. And also honored to have had the opportunity to speak with Rebecca Lockhart. She's our first woman Speaker of the House here in Utah. And it was an honor and a privilege to be able to get to know her and to do the research with her and getting to know her background and who she is. She had explained that she was a mom as well, and she had talked a lot in her interview about, of course, her life and where she had been. And so I just felt, like I said, she was a very genuine person and very warm and friendly. Rebecca had mentioned a few things. She said, be passionate about what you do, love what you do, and do it with all your heart. She says, no one is perfect, but I try to do what I know in my heart is right. So this is something that I want to be able to live by as well. Yeah, we're not perfect, and we need to live by the truth of our own hearts and how we feel. It's a statement that she had made, like I said, several times, and we've got to just be the best that we can, and we can do hard things, and we can get through the difficult things and the different challenges in our lives. When I had gotten the word that Rebecca Lockhart had died, Speaker Rebecca Lockhart had passed away, I was actually out in San Diego with my husband, and we were walking at the beach, and I was shocked. I actually had a few tears, and I just thought, I knew her, and what an honor, and what a blessing. I'm sure I was probably one of the last women that was able to meet with her and talk with her. I know that she had texted me back an email that I had had several questions on, and she just had apologized. I'm so sorry, I'm so sick, and we're not sure what's going on, but I wanted to get this back to you. And I just kind of at a loss for words, I guess. She was an amazing woman, and she had so much to offer and so much to give, and she did. She gave her 100%, and it showed in her work. I felt Rebecca was very inspiring to the different women and the different groups that she spoke with, but for myself, Rebecca's just like, have passion, have some goals, and make it happen for yourself. Do whatever you want to do, and be involved. Your voice matters, and go out and make a difference. She impacted my life, absolutely, and I want to make a difference, and I want to be better and do better for my community, do better for my family and the state I live in.
After interviewing the former Chief Justice Christine Durham, I was so inspired to continue interviewing women. So I decided to interview women here at UVU for my senior thesis. And the thesis was looking at second wave feminism, specifically looking in academia to see what women were doing during that time. So I interviewed Lucille Stoddard, Elaine Engelhardt, Linda Macon, and Anita Bradford. And My experience with interviewing each one of them was different. I learned something different from each one of these women. Lucille Stoddard, I realized what an impact she had made for me as a student, that she had built this university from kind of the foundation up. And Linda Macon probably has been the most impact on my life. At the time, she was telling me about her master's program that she went through, which was the MPA at BYU. And I had never heard of that type of a degree. I knew that I wanted to have more education as soon as I graduated from UVU. But I was debating whether I wanted to go into American Studies or what I wanted to do, and she planted that seed. And this fall, I just started the MPA program at BYU, and it will help me because I went on to get hired here at UVU full-time, and eventually I would love to be able to open up an oral history center here at UVU and be able to continue this work and to introduce other students to just the humanistic connection you get through interviewing people. And Elaine Engelhardt, her interview, she showed me what a strong woman she was. She was here at a time where women, Lucille was here, but I think kind of she was more your administrative type person, and Elaine was kind of down in the trenches. She was faculty, and she wrote a lot of grants. She had a passion for an ethics and values program that she wanted to bring here to UVU, and she kept persevering, and she brought in some big national grants to get this program off the ground. And that's really inspired me to take my program that I want to start here and to know that, you know, if you're passionate about it and if you keep on going and talking to the right people, that eventually you'll be able to get funded through national grants. Interviewing 5 powerful women in Utah has been such a profound experience for me. It's just kind of given me new insight into things I questioned as a woman, and being able to connect to them and realize that some of their thoughts were my thoughts, and some of the things they needed to overcome, I've had to overcome myself. And it's been a great experience just to meet these women and realize that they're just like I am. You know, they have their fears, they have their family, and they have these great careers that they've gone out and gone after, and that's kind of been a real inspiration to me.
I think it was a great interview, and what really stood out to me about Patricia was just her passion for education. And that was something that really resonated with me because I grew up, you know, just knowing that I was going to go to college, and that was something that I wanted to do. And she spoke about the importance that this has for her personally and for her family. I remember a little piece of the interview. She talked about how for her own daughters, it was not a choice of if they weren't going to go to college or not, but it was what they wanted to study. And so I thought that was very powerful because I feel like there is a pattern with Latina women of just not looking further than graduation from high school, and just that is their goal. And I think that if we as Latinas were able to look past that and dream bigger and, you know, just work a little bit harder to go to college, we could change the world, really. Patricia, she started the first dual immersion academy here in the state of Utah. And she did that for her daughters, which is kind of awesome because she wanted her daughters to be able to be bilingual at least. And she herself speaks various languages. And so she started this school because she knew the importance of being bilingual. And just the sheer willpower of this woman to do this for her own daughters inspires me to know that I can do anything, anything that I send my mind to, and anything that I truly want that is important to me. And so I just think it's really cool to see how one woman can change things. What I found really cool was that through this whole process of interviewing her, coming up with interviews and being there and listening to her stories, it confirmed my conviction to be a journalist. And it's something that is something that I'm passionate about now as I listen to her stories about working for newspapers like El Clarín in Argentina and just traveling the world. I just feel like being a journalist is kind of a duty, to inform others, to help others. Towards the end of the interview, Patricia and I were able to speak together in Spanish, and that was a really cool experience because we were able to talk a little bit about her efforts in the OK Español newspaper, in Español, and so it was really fun to be able to speak with someone as talented and as professional as Patricia in our native tongue. And so it was really fun for me. I really enjoyed it. And I was very flattered at the end of the interview when she offered me an internship, and that was just so validating for me, that I could do this, that I had what it takes to start in this industry, which is not an easy industry to work in, especially now. But it was just so validating to know that she had faith in me and that this was something that she knew I could do.
That was a powerful, powerful perspective, I think, of the lasting impact this project has had on those students studying that field of reciprocal ethnography. They have learned a lot. They've taken away a lot. You could tell those researching opportunities had a great impact on their lives and on their careers, hopefully going forward. All right, we're enjoying dessert. It almost looked too good to eat, almost, right? Beautiful piece of art. That's delicious as well. While you're finishing up on that course, we're going to have a musical number from one of my favorite musicals, Wicked. I'm sure many of you have had a chance to see this play. I was in New York on assignment a few months ago, and this was a smart move, ladies. I made the deal with my husband. We could go to as many baseball games as he wanted, as long as the 1-to-1 ratio between baseball games and Broadway shows was upheld, right? So I took him to Wicked, and within 5 minutes, just hearing the music, this particular show has such powerful themes, and within the first 5 minutes, I was misting over just the power of the music. I've seen it like 10 times. And he leaned over and said, "How long is this musical?" And I said, "I think it's like 2.5 hours." He goes, "Then I'm going to have to ask you to pull yourself together." It's a great musical. And this particular song that we're going to hear tonight is For Good. And for those who haven't seen the show, it's toward the end of the show, and this number is originally performed in the musical Wicked. And the two main characters are basically reflecting on each other's lives and how they have impacted them, each other along the way. And so it seems like a very, very appropriate theme to weave into this evening. So we'll invite the musicians to take the stage as I introduce them. And as they're singing, think about a woman in your life who has influenced your life for good. That's the title of the song, For Good. Think about a woman who has had an influence on your life and has made your life better because of her life. These talented musicians who will be entertaining us for the next few minutes, we're welcoming pianist Mike Kestler back to the keys. He's going to accompany Sarah Jorgensen, who actually is a granddaughter of Utah Women's Walk honoree Doris Judd, and also Taylor Valdez. Please welcome them as they sing this memorable duet, For Good.
I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn, and we are led to those who help us most to grow if we let them, and we help them in return. Well, I don't know if I believe that's true, but I know I'm who I am today because I knew you. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you. I have been changed for good.
It well may be that we will never meet again in this lifetime. So let me say before we part, so much of me is made of what I learned from you. You'll be with me like a handprint on my heart. And now whatever way our stories end, I know you have rewritten mine by being my friend. Like a ship blown from its mooring by a wind off the sea, like a seed dropped by a sky bird in a distant wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you,
Because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
and just to clear the air, I ask forgiveness for the things I've done you blame me for.
But then I guess we know there's blame to share, and none of it seems to matter anymore. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the
Like a
sun,
wind off the
like a
sea.
stream that meets the
Like a seed
boulder
dropped by a
halfway through the mud. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? I do believe I have been changed for the better. And because I knew you,
Because I knew you.
because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
Sarah Taylor, thank you so much. What a beautiful song and so reflective of our theme tonight. We'd like to now recognize all of the student researchers in the audience. We'll invite Michelle to come up again. She's going to read their names. They put a lot of time, heart, and work into this, so we need to give them proper acknowledgement. And as Michelle reads your names, we'll invite you to come up to the stage.
This is such a great experience to have my old students come back. I haven't seen many of them for many years, and it's wonderful to have them here. They're fabulous students who gave their heart and soul to a project, and it was not a normal kind of class. It took a lot of time, took a lot of effort, and they were changed for good. In fact, just today, no, it was yesterday, I had a student that just busted open the doors of my office and said, "Wow, that was awesome." And it was even a telephone interview because the woman lives out of state now, but she just had a remarkable experience. And that truly is the best part of this project, is watching students' lives change for good. So we would like to have them come on stage. We'll start with Riley Bjarnson. And students just line across, and we'll hold the applause for you until everyone's on stage. Heather Brown, Kirsten Dumas, Gabriela Gonzalez, Don Hathcock, Tom Hawkins, Teresa Lindsay, You've seen some of them on film. Haley Madison, Gina Martine, and let me just say that Gina is also our student photographer. She actually graduated, and we're hanging on to her for dear life, but she's taken many of these beautiful photos that you've seen. Very talented. Mark Mitchell, Caitlin O'Brien, Elisa Richardson, Kylie Rust, Lori Swain, Christine Thane, Deanne Torsak, Aaron Welch, where are you? Here he comes running. So Henry Unga, Aaron Welch, Kimberly Williamson, Elizabeth Lopez, and last but not least, Nancy Cox. Let's give these students a big round of applause. Thank you, students, so much. And you can exit down that way right there. Thank you for making fine efforts, hard work in making the Utah Women's Walk project part of your undergraduate education. We hope your experience will continue to influence your life for good, and we expect to hear great things about you in the future. After these students have completed the interview and written the short biography of the honoree, there is still much work to be done, and it takes a lot of people to help prepare the student work for publication and for the future exhibit. For the past few years, a group of capable writers and editors have been working to edit the transcriptions and the biographies. This team of writers and researchers has been led by Lisa McMullen. Please stand, Lisa, and keep standing. She's the head of our transcription editing, and she's been with me for a long time. Annie Haven and Colleen Whitley, the editors of the biographers. Will you please stand? Annie is here tonight. And finally, Catherine McIntyre, the archivist at the George Sutherland Archives here on the campus at UVU, and Catherine is nothing short of amazing. Catherine, will you please stand? And then there's another whole team of people called my research and writing team, and you know who you are, and your names are on the program. Would you all please stand wherever you are and take a bow? Thank you for your work. Thank you so much for all you've done. Some of you didn't stand, so read the program and you'll see who they are. But we appreciate their very fine work and expect great things in the future. Thank you so much.
It's apparent it takes a lot of talent and time, a collective group, no doubt, that pulled this off. So way to go to everybody involved. All of the women who are to be honored tonight are going to receive a beautiful bronze medallion. Look at that. That's stunning. It's by noted Utah sculptor Ben Hammond, and Ben is the principal contributor to the bronze statues that are part of the Utah Women's Walk as well. His art has been included in many shows throughout the country. He's received numerous awards, including the top prize at the Lime Academy in 2011. Ben is in the audience with us this evening. Ben, will you please stand? A short smile and a wave. All of these humble, talented people. That really is beautiful, Ben. Thank you so much. The Utah Women's Walk has 8 different categories that women are selected to be included in the project based on a variety of different factors. So I'll run through the 8 categories now. They are women in science and technology, women in public service, women in education, women of charity, so those in humanitarian work, philanthropy, and also religious roles in our community. That all fits under that charity category. Women in the arts and athletics, category number 7, women of letters, and finally, women in business. There is one more final category. Perhaps I would say this is my favorite, and I'm sure some of you will agree with me. It's women in common roles and uncommon lives. So Utah, of course, we know is a state noted for our large families. And some of the most significant stories in the Utah Women's Walk collection are women of past and of present who have sacrificed their time and their talents to raise families, to raise future generations. And one of those women whose sculpture will be featured in the opening garden walk is a woman by the name of Hannah Morley. And she buried 2 children. This is Hannah. She buried 2 children on her trek here as a pioneer to Utah. And after she helped settle the community of Manti, that was back in November of 1849, she was demanded to hand over her infant son, Simon, to Ute Chief Walkara, while blankets and other provisions arrived from Salt Lake City. So hers is definitely a story of courage. It's one of tremendous sacrifice, and it will be told in great detail in the future Garden Walk exhibit. That's just one of many stories. The statue will be titled Reunion, and it captures that moment when Hannah Morley is reunited with her baby son. And it represents women from the past, women from the present who spend much of their lives laboring anonymously in this world, in this community, to blaze a path for others. So to honor this category of women tonight, we have invited a performer of unique talent from an iconic Utah family we all know and love. He'll share his musical talent with us now. That is Mr. Nathan Osmond. He is one of country music's most popular new performers, having recently been nominated as the New Artist of the Year and also Male Vocalist of the Year. I like talking about him like he's not here. In Los Angeles, he's quite a talented guy. He'll be performing a song written by Don Sampson and Win Varble. It's titled Mom. I understand he got Garth Brooks' stamp of approval last week to perform this song. You'll want to keep your eyes on the screen, though, while he's singing, to watch some of the photographs. These are photos that have never been seen of Nathan's grandmother, Olive Osmond. Many of us know her as the founder of the Children's Miracle Network. She's an honoree in the Utah Women's Walk as well. Let's give a warm welcome to Utah's very own Nathan Osmond.
You're awesome. You got it right.
Awesome. Has this been awesome tonight? Come on. Wow. I'm a little nervous to sing after Lita's performance and Taylor and Sarah's. That was beautiful. Thank you for having me here. And thank you for honoring my grandmother Osmond. We call her 00. But Olive Osmond was her name. And I'm so grateful that she didn't listen to the experts. See, their first 2 sons were both born deaf. And they told her, don't have any more kids. Well, I'm so grateful she didn't listen, because you'd have a completely different entertainer up on this stage right now. My father came next. He's here tonight, the oldest of the Osmond brothers, and she had 7 more children after the first 2, and had wanted to do something to make a difference. As she said, it started off with deafness, but she wanted to do something to help all of them. And so that's where this Osmond Foundation for Children of the World came about, and we changed the name because it wasn't about us, it was about the kids. She created the Children's Miracle Network. We're so grateful that she did. They've been able to raise billions of dollars now for children, and I'm just so honored that you'd honor my grandmother. She's my hero. These are some pictures we put together. By the way, I did talk to Garth Brooks backstage. I went back and I said, I want to sing your song off your new album called Mom. Can I do that? He says, yes. And I said, but my mother's going to be sitting in the crowd, and I can't look at her when I sing this song. He says, yeah, good luck with that. Do we have any country fans in the house tonight? My people, all right. I want to dedicate this to all of our incredible Utah women. Hope you enjoy this. Little baby told God, hey, I'm kind of scared. Don't really know if I want to go down there. From here it looks like a little blue ball, but that's a great big place, and I'm so small. Why can't I just stay here with you? Did I make you mad? Don't you want me to? God said, oh child, of course I do. But there's somebody special waiting for you. So hush now, baby, don't you cry. 'Cause there's someone down there waiting whose only goal in life is making sure you're always gonna be alright. A loving angel, tender, tough and strong. It's almost time to go and meet your mom. You'll never have a better friend or a warmer touch to tuck you in. She'll kiss your bruises, your bumps and scrapes, and anytime you hurt, her heart is gonna break. So hush now, baby, don't you cry. 'Cause there's someone down there waiting whose only goal in life is making sure you're always gonna be alright. A loving angel, tender, tough and strong. It's almost time to go and meet your mom. So when she's talking to you, make sure you listen close, 'cause she's gonna teach you everything you'll ever need to know. Like how to mind your manners, to love and laugh and dream. And she's gonna put you on the path that'll bring you back to me. So hush now, little baby, don't you cry. 'Cause there's someone down there waiting whose only goal in life is making sure you're always gonna be alright. A loving angel, tender, tough and strong. Come on, child, it's time to meet your mom. Thank you so much.
Way to go. I know your sweet grandma would be so proud, and like her, we share a love for your talent and your passion. Nathan Osmond, everybody. He will be back in just a couple minutes to wrap up our evening, so one more great song from him still to come. Well, I mentioned that seventh category of Common Roles, Uncommon Lives. We're now going to acknowledge the 10 honorees who fit into that category. So we'd like to welcome them to line up here on the side of the stage, and we're going to read their names. Hold your applause, please, until the end. I'll invite Michelle Taylor, UVU Vice President of Student Affairs, to the stage. She'll do the honors of reading those honorees' names. And again, please hold your applause until all 10 honorees are acknowledged and recognized.
It's an honor to be here tonight, to be celebrating these amazing achievements of the women in a common role, living an uncommon life. These are women who are often not recognized because they are behind the scenes, creating outstanding families and communities with little fanfare. They don't seek the limelight. They are unselfish with their time and talents and energies. They are examples of true dedication. As I read the names of the Utah Women's Walk honorees, in the role of women in common roles living an uncommon life, please hold your applause until all of the women have been escorted to the stage. Muriel R. Aldridge, Julia Caswell, Irene Ellison, Roseanne Gunther, Dora Lopez, Shirley Matthews, who is not here tonight, Jane Ann Payne, Helen Smith, Elizabeth Ann Takasaki.
Let's give these amazing women one more round of applause. Ladies, thank you so much for being with us, and more so for your examples, your lives that you have led. Thank you so much for being here. You saw their bios flashing briefly across the screen, and I'm sure some of you are frantically trying to read up on the fabulous accomplishments that these women have contributed to our communities. I'd encourage you to go to the Utah Women's Walk website after tonight's event and read up. They really are each amazing, and each deserve this honor so much. Now let's have the other honorees in the remaining 7 categories escorted to the stage. If you know you're to be honored, if you can start immediately just maybe collecting over here, and as your name is read, take the stage. These categories represent some of the most accomplished and recognizable women in the history of our state. I mentioned those categories earlier, but again, they include roles in business, public service, education, science and technology. Humanitarian work is definitely high on the list, military service, arts and letters, and also athletics. Just a few of the accomplishments these women have contributed. Dr. Michelle Taylor is going to announce these names. Again, please hold your applause until all the honorees are on the stage.
Okay, we would like all of these honorees to come right over here and line up. We're going to introduce your names one by one, and we'd like to have your slide go up with you when we announce your name. So if you can all come over to this side, and then we'll announce you one by one. Deborah Bale. Deborah, here she comes. Gay Beck. We'll just hold our applause till the end. Thanks so much. Diane Bionson. Doris Bernardi. Maxine Condor. Mary Crafts Homer. Patricia Dark. Kathy Debenham. Jill Mulvey Durr. Elaine Englehart. Cecilia Foxley. Laura Hamblin. Jacqueline Heron. Tiffany Lott Hogan. Ardith G. Kapp. Carol Madsen. Susan Madsen. Kemen Negron. Peggy Passon. Susan Richards. Janetta Williams. Laurie Wood. Kay Smith. Anna Lockhart is here for her mother, Rebecca Lockhart. Please give these amazing women a round of applause.
Yeah, you can come this way. What a beautiful group of women. Ladies, you can exit this way. We got our choreography down finally, just in time. One more round of applause for this amazing group. There is a beauty about these women, and it's not just an external characteristic. They are literally glowing from the inside out. Wonderful women. We're so pleased to be able to honor them tonight. We do have, we'd like to recognize 7 families of deceased honorees who are joining us this evening as well. So I'll read the name of the deceased honoree, and then I'll acknowledge their family members who are with us. If you would stand, family members, as I read your name, and stay standing until all 7 or so honorees have been acknowledged, and we'll appropriately applaud at the conclusion of this list. Ruth Hale is an honoree, and she's represented today by Tanya Raidbaugh. Olive Osmond, represented by Alan, Suzanne, and Nathan Osmond. Juanita Brooks, her daughter Willa Derrick is here in her honor. Rebecca Lockhart is represented by daughters Emily and Hannah. Please stand. Rebecca DeWitt Welch has several family members in the audience. Please stand. Beatrice Gray Christensen is represented tonight by her family member Katie Beecher. Hedvig Marie Olsen Jensen is represented by Sandy Barney. Let's please give a round of applause for these families representing those legacies. That just about concludes our program tonight. And on a personal note, as someone who greatly respects the female spirit and these wonderful women and all they're doing to contribute to Utah families and our Utah community, I just want to thank you for allowing me to spend a few minutes and be part of this awesome evening. We look forward to reading and learning more about these stories when the garden is complete at Thanksgiving Point. That's something we're highly anticipating, and I know many of you are as well. I would encourage you, before we conclude this evening, to look at the envelope located at the center of your table. The Utah Women's Walk, as many of you know, is a privately funded project, and if we want to finally see it open next year, we do need your support. And I don't think that support will be hard to come by, as we've seen just how deeply impactful this program is on the students who participated and how wonderful these women are who deserve the recognition and deserve to be acknowledged. So please take a minute and open your hearts and open your wallets if you can, and give generously to this great cause tonight. You can fill out the contribution card, and you can leave it with one of the student researchers. They'll be at the exit doors on the way out, so feel free to drop that in their trusted hands. And again, there's also a nomination card in the center of the table too, if you have a woman who you would like to be considered for this honor and for this project. I hope you would agree from what you have learned this evening that the Utah Women's Walk is certainly a one-of-a-kind project, the only living memorial in the state dedicated to honoring the lives and the contributions of women in our state who have been contributing since 1847. This is the time and the place right here tonight to make sure we can continue to honor and recognize those deserving women. Before we welcome back Nathan Osmond to the stage, let me express appreciation to all of you on behalf of Michelle and her advisory board. They're very grateful for the support that you've demonstrated tonight, and also the Women's Success Center at UVU. We appreciate all of those representatives being here tonight as well. Just having you all here is truly a reminder and an inspiration that dreams can come true and they can be a reality. Those passions really can come to fruition and change lives moving forward. The common connection here in these stories and these voices that we've heard really is one of inspiration, and those stories will continue to echo, I think, through the hearts and generations to come. On that note, we have a fitting finale this evening to this great evening of celebration. We're going to listen once again to Nathan Osmond sing a song with a one-word title that I think perhaps best describes how many of us feel about the role of women in our great state and the importance of honoring their inspiring legacies. Let's welcome back to the stage Nathan Osmond as he sings the song Glorious.
Hey, one more round of applause for all these incredible examples out there. Thank you so much. Abraham Lincoln said, "All I am and all I ever hope to become, I owe to my angel mother." And that's how I feel about my mother and about my grandmothers and all these women out here. I wanted to put one slide up here. I asked them to show this before I sing this song. Do you have that slide, guys? Go ahead and show this. Before my grandmother Osmond passed away, she was in a coma. She came out of her coma and she grabbed my father's hand and she wrote, and this is what she wrote. "Alan, there is no limit to the good you can do if you don't care who gets the credit." And that's the way she lived her life. That's the way all these incredible women have lived their lives. They just went and did what was right. And that is absolutely glorious. And with that, we're going to sing this song. There are times when you might feel aimless, can't see the places where you belong, but you will find that there is a purpose. It's been there within you all along, and when you're near it, you can almost hear it. It's like a symphony. Just keep listening, and pretty soon you'll start to figure out your part. Everyone plays a piece, and there are melodies in each one of us. Oh, it's glorious. And you will know how to let it ring out as you discover who you are. Others around you will start to wake up to the sounds that are in their hearts. It's so amazing what we're all creating. It's like a symphony. Just keep listening, and pretty soon you'll start to figure out your part. Everyone plays a piece, and there are melodies in each one of us. Oh, it's glorious. Oh, and as you feel the notes build, you will see. It's like a symphony. Just keep listening, and pretty soon you'll start to figure out your part. Everyone plays a piece, and there are melodies in each one of us. Oh, it's glorious. Thank you.
I love that song. It has been a glorious, glorious evening. Thanks to Nathan Osmond, and thank you for joining us all, spending your evening with us. Drive safe, and we hope to see you next year. Thank you, everybody.